Okay, this is the seventh in the series of articles on the techniques for constructing a workload tracker for physicians, or if you would like to call it a work RVU tracker. Okay, for those of you who have been following along, in the last video we created a new form called FRM list add, and we'll just open that up in design view and bring up the property sheet. And for those you remember, the form had an embedded macro on the onLoad event. That is to say that as soon as the form is called or loads, a embedded macro will run. And on that embedded macro, we have three set properties for the CPT code, the description, and the RVU add in all each. And these properties have values which are hardwired, if you will. The value is the CPT code, the description, and the RVU value, and then the window is closed. Okay, and we can close that. And when that form is open and closed in add view, it will generate a record in TBL list, and that's where we will have the repository, if you will, for all of our data. Now you can do Control A, hold the Control key, and right click and delete all these 9 records. And then I'll ask you to save that and close it. And we can open Form Main, and there's no records in the form list subform, which is this. Now, the other button that we had shown for test purposes was called Test Open Form Add List Add, and it has a on-click event with an embedded macro. And on that form, you have the open form, the FRM list add, and it is opened in the add mode. Okay, so that it means it's ready to accept a record, and then you close the form main and then just reopen form main. Okay, very simple macro. You know what? One little piece of housekeeping I'm going to do right now, because it's starting to bother me, is the press color for tab Control 10. Press color, press color. That blue is starting to not feel good about it, so I'm going to change it to a different color, and maybe we'll change it again even later. But let's save that, take a look at it. Okay. And let's do layout, form view. All right, we'll live with that for a while. Okay, back to form view. And what I wanted to do now is create a new button, and we can add it in the layout view. We can click here and just cancel that. Make it a little broader. Bring up the property sheet for command 24. We'll give it a different name. Let's call it temp vars test, and we'll click off of it, and there it goes. Okay, we can generate a click event, and this is just by way of demonstrating of what temporary variables do. And I may have said it before, I think without temporary variables, databases wouldn't be that interesting, but in my opinion, it's kind of what makes things interesting. On the click event, you can click the ellipsis, which will bring up the choose builder. You can choose one of these. We've made a decision to do this strictly without VBA coding, which is Visual Basics for Application. If you click here, you're into a whole different area. So let's stick with the macro builder, and it brings up our little pull down sheet here for different macro commands. And the one we're interested in for demonstration purposes is the set temporary variable. And we can call it anything, but by convention, a variable is a VAR, and we'll call it VARCPT. Now, if you'll notice, if you just hover over something, it's like a little tooltip appears. And if you hover over expression, this temporary variable sets, and it tells you a little bit of information. It sets a temporary variable with a given value. Okay, so 10021 is a value, and to prove that that value is now being held in some memory on the computer, we can bring it up in a message box, and where it says message, if you hit the equal sign, I think it's a little bit like Excel that way. It builds up this build button, and you can do a bracket temp bars close bracket exclamation point, which I've heard people call it bang nomenclature. It's like a club, like a baseball bat or something. So put another bracket, and the variable that we just gave name to was VARCPT, close bracket. So, well, why do you have to do it this way? I think of it much like genus species. Okay, to get the whole organism identified, you need to have both the genus and the species. So what this is a temporal variable, and the subcategory of temporary variables is the one that we just created, VAR CPT. We'll say OK. And if you'll notice, this is small letters. The T is small, the V is small. And we'll save it, and we'll come back to it, and we'll see if those don't turn to capital letters. I'm not sure why the IntelliSense isn't turning on. But anyway, let's check that out. All right, so another way to think about temporary variables is I think most people know what copy and paste are in MS Word or a lot of applications do the copy and paste. Well, a temporary variable is a way to assign multiple things to clipboards. When you copy something to a clipboard and then you paste it off the clipboard. Well, a temporary variable, you can have multiple clipboards. I don't know. That's a good way to think about it. So I click the button, the on-click event brings up the message box, and the temporary variable that we have assigned is the CPT code for finding aspiration biopsy. Well, just to prove to you that we can have multiple clipboards stored within the computer, if you will. Actually, you know what? Let's just collapse these down. Control key, you can copy both of these, and then put the little clicker here and do Control V, and now you've just duplicated what you had up above here. Okay, so and we can change this name to DES for description, and it's a little bit different because they're looking for a value. You need to put it in quotation marks. So FNA without imaging, close quotation marks, and we can change this to DES. All right, and we can do that again. Control paste. It's still on that clipboard, if you will, and we can change this to RVU. So we've named, let's do this one first. Change this to RVU, and the expression is going to be a number, 1.27, and all looks well. So we have, by way of review, we have set 3 temporary variables, and we have 3 message boxes, temp variable, temp variable, temp variable. Save that, close that, save that, go to form view, and now we should get 3 message boxes. There's the CPT code, okay, there's the description, and there's the RVU value. All right. I only did this for demonstration purposes, but one It does have utility, so let's go back to layout view, and we'll go to our test open form list add, and let's just change the name. Let's change it to 012. We know it's 1.27 RVUs, and it's FNA, just without. Click down, and it accepted it. Okay, go to the click event. You really haven't changed anything except the caption. And we can set a temporary variable. CP VAR, CPT, and this would be 10021. And we'll move it to the very top before we even open FRM list add. So first order of business was to set a temporal variable. We'll open the form FRM list add in add mode. That on the load event, it will set properties, and then we'll come back here and close the form FRM main, and then reopen FRM main. Now, one of the housekeeping things that is recommended if you set a temporary variable, as you work through all the macro commands at the very end, you should remove the temporary variables. And so it's one of the pull down windows. If you go all the way down here, you can see it. Remove temporary. You can remove one or remove all temporary variables. Okay. All right, so let's save that and close that. Save that and close that, and we'll go back to our FRM list add, go to design view, bring up our property sheet, and on the onload event, embedded macro, we'll bring it up. And here's what we're going to do. Instead of having this CPT, this set property, CPT add value, we are going to add not the number, but we're going to add the temporary variable. Temp vars bracket bang nomenclature bracket var cpt close bracket. All right, and just to make sure that you're not thinking I'm fooling you on this, we'll put a message box, and we can you know what, right, okay, yeah, you don't put, we'll put value, okay. We'll copy this and we'll add this into the message box. Value equals, not sure, let's see. Okay, let's try it with an equal sign. And we can drag the message box up to the top. Okay. Let's just see what happens. Save and close. Go back to FRM main, and if I did this right, we will get a message box with 1.0021. There it is, 10021. And we created a new record. So what really changed? Let's go back. Let's close this and go back just for emphasis. For the set property, the CPT, the field CPT add has a value, and that value is now not hardwired in at this level, but is given to you by setting a temporary variable on the button. All right, now we don't need the message box anymore. The value that was here before was typed in the 10021, and now that value is captured by setting a temporary variable associated with the button. And it does the same thing. Save and close. Okay. Close. Back to form main. And we'll just click it one more time, show you it still works. All right, now that's about all I want to say for this video. In the next video, we will go through other techniques for using temporary variables, and I think I've been building up to it. The D lookup will be brought into play, and you can use D lookups and associate them with temporary variables, and quite interesting. All right, I hope to see you in the next video, and thanks again.